Hello, my fabulous third graders. It's story time with Pongo and Tawny. Tawny's dreaming. She was dreaming just a minute ago. Her lips were like going and she was twitching. Oh well, now she stopped. But here's Pongo. He might dream in a little bit too. It was really funny. A few minutes ago he fell off the bed. I wish I was videotaping. It was the funniest thing. He did not get hurt. It was just funny. Oh, there goes Tawny's foot. See, she's dreaming. Look, there she goes. She must be running. There she goes. She's running. Run, Tawny, run. Okay, back to the story. I have a Dia de los Muertos story. It's in English, so I'll read it in English. This book is actually written in English and Spanish. It's called The Spirit of Tío Fernando. And in Spanish, it's El Espíritu de Tío Fernando. But I'll read it in English so that you can all understand. This is a Day of the Dead story. This is written by Janice Levy, illustrated by Morella Fuenmayor. And that just tells us a little bit more about Day of the Dead. Wake up, my mother calls. It's Day of the Dead. We're going to honor your Tío Fernando. As I get dressed, I watch the sun come up. I miss my favorite uncle, Fernando, who died 6 months ago. I'm named Fernando after him, but everyone calls me Nando. Tío Fernando had long, skinny legs, and the second toe of his right foot was longer than his big toe, just like mine. His mustache would tickle my chin when he lifted me in the air. He always brought me coconut candy that got stuck in my teeth. Yesterday, my mother scrubbed Tío Fernando's tombstone. I painted it pink and blue and pulled up loose weeds. I helped my mother set up the altar in the living room. First, we washed the walls and swept the floor. Then, we opened a tablecloth with yellow and green embroidered birds. My mother laughed. Do you remember how Tío's parrot refused to talk? This morning, my mother places sweet-smelling candles on the table around pictures of Tío Fernando. In one of the photographs, I am sitting on his shoulders. We are both wearing baseball caps. I remember when Tío Fernando let me pick his lucky numbers. He said if he won the loteria, he would be the richest man in Mexico, and we'd drive all the way to California to see the Dodgers play baseball. My mother puts my uncle's favorite foods, chocolate, cola, and mole, on the altar. I lay his wooden flute there too. When he visited, Tío Fernando would play it for me. And you see the pan de muertos right there. Oh, and the marigold flowers, the cempasúchil. When the altar is done, my mother makes lunch. The Day of the Dead is a time to remember people who have died, whom we will always love, my mother says. Tonight at the fiesta, we will bring Tío Fernando's special things to the cemetery. We will meet with his spirit and show him he has not been forgotten. How will I meet Tío's spirit? Will I see him? Will he make noise? How will I know it is really him? I ask. So many questions. My mother kisses me. Some things we just know when it is time to know. She tucks some pesos in my pocket. Go to the market, Nandito, and buy some things that remind you of your uncle. Oh, there goes Tawny. She's kicking Pongo. All right, excuse me, Pongo. I need the book back. Sorry, buddy. What can I take to the cemetery for Tío? I wander through the market. Bread of the dead, Senor Romero shouts in the marketplace. He holds up loaves of bread that look like twisted bones. He squeezes icing from a tube and draws a skull and crossbones on a round cake. So here's the picture of the pan de muerto. Here, Nando. Senor Romero hands me a blue and pink sugar skull with tinfoil eyes. He writes my name on his forehead. Thank you, Senor Romero. I stare at my name on the skull. How will I meet Tío Fernando's spirit? I don't know, Nando, but when you do, your heart will be full. I think of the candy my uncle would throw into the air and catch in his mouth. I buy a skeleton of marzipan candy and a cake baked narrow and skinny, like Tío Fernando. Devil's costumes, Senora Magdalia sings. She shows me the silver bells and mirrors she has sewn onto black pants. I am making devil's costumes for the masqueraders, she says. Here, Nando. Senora Magdalia gives me a white handkerchief stuffed with sticks. She ties a rubber band around the middle and draws 2 black eyes. This is for you. So here are the pants. So she's got a pair of black pants right here that she's sewing, and she's sewing bells on them. So it's part of the parade that they're going to see tonight. And there's Nando's little ghost toy. Thank you, Senora Magdalia. I shake the ghost in my hand. How will I meet Tío Fernando's spirit? I don't know, Nando, but when you do, you will feel good inside. I think of the spooky stories my uncle told me. I remember how he made his voice deep or high or squeaky. I buy an orange and black paper goblin on a stick and a papier-mâché skeleton riding a small horse. Tawny came to lay by me. So there's all the toys. I walk from one end of the market to the other and stop at every stall. There is so much to see. There is so much to think about. I meet my mother. She looks at the things I have bought and smiles. So there's him walking through. And then there's his mom at the... Hold my hand, Nandito, she says. It's getting dark. The street is crowded with musicians. People in costumes and masks twirl in circles. I dance to a mummer's serenade and laugh at the actors on stage singing songs about life and death. Come, my mother. Let's go to Tio's grave now. The cemetery is nearby. Outside it, my mother and I buy marigolds, the special flowers of the dead. We place the flowers on Tio's grave, and they look like an orange blanket. We tie them on the cross, too. So here's the cempasúchil. Looks like they take off the petals and put them out, don't they? My mother plays the guitar and sings my uncle's favorite songs. She lights a candle and asks the soul of Tío Fernando to join us in the fiesta to remember the world he left behind. Is Tío Fernando's spirit here? I whisper. My mother closes her eyes and puts her arm around me. I hear her heart beating Or maybe it is my own. I feel a tickling across my cheek. A bird whistles as high as a flute. A warm wind blows from my head to my feet. I look down and see how the second toe of my right foot sticks out of my sandal. Those are all the things that remind him of his uncle, right? The tickling, like his mustache would tickle him, and his flute. The bird sounds like a flute, and now he thinks about his toe. The spirit of Tío Fernando. I look at my mother. She opens her eyes and smiles. Then I am sure that Tío Fernando is happy with his fiesta. He knows that we love him and that he has not been forgotten. There they are right there. This one here. The end. It tells about the author and the illustrator. Isn't that a nice story? Just a quick little story that tells us about the Day of the Dead and the celebrations that people have. I hope you enjoyed that story. Pongo is snoring away. He must have really liked it. And Tani she had to get closer. She liked it too. All right, boys and girls, have a great day. Bye.